Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hari ini kita akan sambung topik kita untuk subjek financial management, iaitu topik 3, interest rate fundamental. Before we proceed to our class, then a Muslim student, please start Al-Fatihah. Yeah. So today I would like to share to you the topic of interest rate fundamental, asas kepada kadar faedah. So this is a theoretical topics. This is it's quite boring, and they just in the final I thought it's not included in the final question, but it is just for you, for student to know the fundamental of interest rate, because this interest rate will be used in the next chapter. In the following chapter, we have another 10 chapter where the interest rate what must be used is used in the question or in the notes. So the fundamental or the knowledge of interest rate you must know, because the interest rate is very commonly used in the banks, or if you as is if you if you want to borrow a loan, or sorry, you want to make a loan to borrow money, so from the bank, then your bank will charge you some of interest rate. So in terms of study, you have to accept the interest rate principle, but the Islamic uh, studies is not, interest rate is prohibited or tidak dibenarkan. So interest rate in Islam is not is prohibited or not allowed for our belief, for Muslim belief. But the Islam will allow the profit. They change interest rate into the profit sharings. So now I will later email after this is I will share with you the interest rate fundamentals. Very simple topics. So our learning objective here is for this chapter is explain the fundamentals of interest rate determination and the popular theories of the terms such as of interest rate. So before I proceed to next chapter, please subscribe on my YouTube channel, Hud Amin. Alright, you in the this channel I will share all my notes, all my accounts, entrepreneurship, marketing, and financial management, and also financial accounting. So this chapter will emphasize on the interest rate determinations and the proper theories of the terms such as of interest rate. The interest rate determinants, or the factors, or what these factors, faktor-faktor tertentu, particular factors in interest rate, how interest rate is emerge ataupun boleh berlaku. So interest rate determinants is from what we call nominal interest rate, kadar faedah nominal. In bahasa Melayu is kadar faedah nominal, or the formula for nominal interest rate is real risk-free rate. You have to remember this. Must remember for taking this subject. You have to remember this formula. So You have to know the nominal interest rate is real risk-free rate, real risk-free rate plus inflation premium plus default risk premium plus maturity risk premium and plus liquidity risk premium. So except risk-free rate, there are four premium, inflation premium. To taking consideration the interest rate charged by bank, the bank will include the inflation premium. Have to consider the inflation. Inflation means the price of the product is keep increasing. Default risk premium. Default risk premium is some sort of the uh, yang telah ditetapkan determinants by the bank. Maturity risk and liquidity risk. So the risk I will use this term. You can understand this term after you finish or you cover all the topics in this subject. Default risk, maturity risk, and liquidity. Liquidity is some sort of the uh, kecairan bahasa Melayu dia kecairan yang berkaitan dengan susah ataupun senangnya duit itu dicairkan, dipindahkan dalam bentuk duit. Thus, the nominal rate or quoted rate for securities is driven by all the above risk premium factors. So this is what we call risk premium factors. So we have four premium factors. Such knowledge is critical when companies set an interest rate for their issues. Review the example in the text. So I will give you the questions in the tutorial question later. So the main important for this chapter is this formula. Nominal interest rate is risk-free rate. Risk-free rate, kalau awak boleh tahu, risk-free rate ni kadar bebas risiko. Kalau kat Malaysia ni kadar bebas risiko kat mana awak, kalau awak simpan memang dijamin pelaburan itu dijamin pulangan dia, iaitu di ASB ataupun di pelaburan kerajaan, contohnya ASB, ASN, okay, di PNB. So all this investment secured by government, then this is considered as risk-free risk. That I studied at the finance book. The risk-free rate is some sort is equivalent to 4%. So you may jot down risk-free rate is lebih kurang approximately 4%. They usually use risk-free rate is 4%. That means 4% is minimum, where you just put your money into the account and after 1 year you will get minimum 4%. Is secured by the government. This is what we call risk-free rate. No risk at your fund or your investment. And the real risk-free rate is actually the formula real and nominal rate. Real risk-free rate interest is risk minus free rate minus inflation premium. This formula you have to remember: risk minus free rate minus inflation premium. If you want to consider the formula of real risk-free rate is actually risk minus free rate minus inflation premium. Nominal interest rate or approximately equals real rate of interest plus inflation risk premium, equal to real risk of interest plus inflation risk premium. So this is the formula you need to remember. You just remember for your general knowledge, and in the final final question, I think is not is tak pernah keluar lah dalam final So the real rate of interest is the nominal quoted rate of interest less any. The real rate of interest is nominal quoted rate of interest. Quoted maksudnya dah telah dinyatakan. Less maksudnya awak tolak, less any loss in purchasing power of the dollar during the time of the investment. So kadang kalau real rate of interest, kadang-kadang bank beritahu your interest is 4%, charged by 4% at 8%. That is not actually interest. What the investor want to know is the real rate of interest. The real rate of interest is you have to deduct or less any loss in purchasing power of the dollar during the time of the investment. Ni yang katakan ni ibarat macam exchange dollar lah. Duit kita semakin lemah, semakin berkurang, semakin tak ada nilai. Sebab itu kadar interest semua itu akan diambil kira. So what we call the term structure of interest rate, this is years of maturity. Okay, this is years of maturity. So what we call the term structure of interest rate. So this is the graph explain of the term structure of interest. We have y-axis interest rate and years of maturity. Years of maturity, for example, loans is you have to pay the loan for 20 years. Then the interest rate actually the graph shown in this, the graph of the interest rate shown as you seen in the screen. So this is what we call term. Term is meaning is more than 1 years of maturity, such of interest rate. So interest rate actually is graph dia akan menunjukkan kenaikan dan seterusnya mendata in the 20 years pada penghujung the end of 20 years of maturity. So this is starting from for example 5%. Then early of the years, the graph will keep increasing and keep slowing into the flat up to 9%. So this is then you can explain what the meanings of the term structure of interest rate. And the figure 1 refers to this graph is such as show the relationship between a debt security rates of return. So this is interest and this is maturity. So I just refer to the graph. I will refer to the graph. Okay, starting from year zero, started off of say real rates, interest. Okay. Relationship between a debt security rates of return and length of time until the debt mature. Length of time, right? Between a rate of interest rate where the risk of default is held constant. Default means held constant. This is what we call the time of constant. Nearly pada penghujung tahun maturity, at the end of the length of maturity date. The graph could be upward sloping. This is what we call upward. Okay, A upward. Longer term securities command higher returns, flat equal return for long term and short, or inverted longer term securities command low returns compared to short term. The graph changes over time. Upward sloping curve is most commonly observed. Maksudnya dia akan kecerunannya akan meningkat upward, ya. So akhirnya dia akan mendatang. Dan ni lebih kurang sama untuk dua bond kerajaan, pinjaman kerajaan. So dia akan semakin lama meningkat faedahnya. Di mana ada krisis macam contohnya sekarang lah, kalau ada krisis sekarang ni di PKP sekarang ni kan. So government tak ada duit, dia mungkin akan, bank kita tak ada duit, dia akan terbitkan bond. Contohnya bank meminjam duit, so interest rate pada awalnya ialah rendah, pada kita rendah lah, and then dia akan meningkat dan seterusnya mendatang. Investors require maturity risk premium to compensate them for buying securities that expose them for the risk of fluctuating interest rate. So pelabur memerlukan premium yang dinamakan maturity risk premium to compensate them for buying securities that expose them to the risk of fluctuating interest rate. Maksudnya pelabur nakkan satu yang dinamakan premium maturity, yang telah matang, kerana interest rate pada awal yang kita tunjukkan tadi dia akan berubah-ubah. What explain the shape of the term structure? The market segmentation theory. Legal reason are personal preference limit choice for investor to certain range of maturity. This theory implies that the rate of interest for a particular maturity is determined by demand and supply for a given maturity. So dia ada berkaitan dengan legal restriction and personal preference limit charge for investor to certain range of maturity. So yang ni yang kenapa saham itu ataupun graf itu berubah, meningkat dan sebagainya, ia disebabkan inilah legal restriction, personal preference, and demand and supply for a given maturity, disebabkan permintaan dan penawaran. Okey, so untuk chapter ini yang penting saya tekankan ialah yang ni, nominal interest rate. Sampai chapter 5 je lah. Nominal interest rate, the term structure of interest, and real and nominal rates. So this is, you have to remember. You just get the knowledge. Not this chapter is not come up or tidak akan will not be questions in your final. So this is just for your knowledge and for your uh, assessed by this quiz 2. After this, we will sit for quiz 2, chapter 1 and chapter 2 multiple choice questions. So be ready for the question for quiz 2. Okay, thanks.